FSB. FSB.
Welcome everyone. I'm Carolyn Frank. I'm the Development Manager for the FSB in York and North Yorkshire, and I am really pleased to welcome you to our national webinar today about growth through exceptional customer experience. And it's extremely appropriate this week in National Customer Service Week. And I'm delighted to welcome Rhiann Anstey from Insight 6, who are a nationwide customer experience company who use data insights to improve customer service, and ultimately the reason we're all in business, to improve profitability and the bottom line of your business. So please make the most of Rhiann's extensive experience. She has over 20 years experience in this field, and we're delighted that she's offered to speak today. So we'll endeavour to answer as many questions as possible. Please use the questions to panelists button to put those forward, and I'll manage those and hopefully not interrupt too often, but try and field those to Rhiann during the presentation and afterwards, so that we really make the most of this webinar for our audience today. So today's session will also be recorded and will be available on demand afterwards on the FSB website, in case you wanted to watch it again or pass it on to colleagues who can't be here today. And just to mention that if you aren't already an FSB member, we'd love to have the opportunity to speak to you just about the benefits of joining. So please do visit our website at fsb.org.uk to book a meeting with one of our membership advisors who, like Rhiann and like myself, they're all over the country and are really happy to have one-to-ones with businesses to see if it's a good fit for your business. So without further ado, I'll hand over to Rhiann, who's going to share a short presentation. And as I said, please do ask as many questions as you can, and we'll try and answer them during the event. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So hopefully everybody can see my screen. First of all, I just want to ask a question. I know I won't be able to see if you're answering or not, but if you can internally answer, that would be great. If you want to stick your hands up, that's absolutely fine. I just won't be able to see them. So when you're thinking about your own business, would you say you deliver superior customer service? So if you think you do, then you'd be amongst 80% of other companies that think the same and say they deliver superior customer service. The interesting thing is that actually only 8% of people think that these same companies deliver superior customer service. So it's really about understanding what the gap is between what you think is happening in your organisation and the way customers view it. And you may be absolutely correct. Your customer service may be superior, it may be amazing every single time, but just really understanding and being able to measure it properly will really help you to grow the business in future. So I'm going to take about 25 minutes today. So there's going to be quite a lot of information. Caroline might interrupt me midway with some questions as they come through, or we might wait to the end. It just depends, I suppose, how it's going and whether she can get a word in edgeways as I'm in full flow. But we're just going to have quite a short amount of time to go through quite a lot of information. But I will put my details up at the end. So if anyone wants our conversation after this or wants any more detail about anything that I talk about, then feel free to reach out and get in touch. So we're going to cover a little bit about what CX is, what is customer experience, why is a customer strategy important, how it affects your bottom line, and a bit on return on investment, and then customer feedback, how to get it and how to use it. A little bit about us as Insight 6. So I'm a director for Insight 6. We work with businesses in all sorts of sectors, from one-man bands to massive global organizations. And we kind of have set up a process, a 6-step process. So we're called Insight 6 for a reason. We've got a 6-step process, and we've got 6 products and services and tools that we use to do that. I'm only going to talk about a couple of those today. And the first one is our second stage, which is our identify stage. And this is where we look at what's actually happening within the organization. So we start normally with our instant insight system, which is a feedback survey. So we start asking clients and customers what it is that they like, or what they like to see improvements on, how they really feel about the business that they're dealing with. We may do some mystery shopping. So we might, we've got researchers up and down the country who will go through the process as if they were a genuine customer to understand what that looks like. And listening in focus groups as well. So maybe selecting a few key customers or clients to really get into the nitty-gritty of what's happening. So that's the first bit where we sort of measure the experience and see what's going on. Then we'd move on to illustrate, where we'd explore opportunities. And here we'd look at customer journey mapping and actually doing a map of the entire journey as it currently stands, but also how they want it to look in the future. So you can kind of start to see where we are now and where we want to get to. And then it goes into instruct, where we'll look at actually going in and making some changes based on that data. So maybe looking at training and development or mentoring and coaching. And it's all about just continually improving. It's not about getting to 100% every time and everything being perfect all the time. It's about getting consistency, so that if a customer or client deals with you, that they get the same experience every time, and that experience is what you want it to be, but more importantly what they want to be and what they're expecting it to be. And the types of businesses that we work with are ones that are maybe frustrated that they're spending lots on marketing and they're not seeing the return on it, or their sales are flatlining and they don't really know what they need to do differently. Could be that they're not getting any online reviews and they want to focus on that. There's all kinds of things that we help businesses with. So CX is a kind of, it's not new, but it's something that's been spoken about more recently, that in the last few years than ever before. And there's a difference between customer service, which is the assistance, the advice you provide to a customer. And when I'm talking about customers as I go through this, it's not just customers. You could refer to them as clients. It could be patients. It could be students, if you're an educational business. It's whoever is dealing with your products and services. It can be B2B focused or B2C, depending on the industry. And then customer experience is the whole journey. So it's the end-to-end experience that customer or client has and how they feel about doing business with you. And you'll hear me use the word feel quite a lot during this. And it's not a fluffy word. It's actually the key thing that will understand whether customers will choose you again, whether they will use you again. And we look at every single touch point from where they find you online, what people are saying about you, reading reviews, what employees say about you, right through to looking at the website, to going through and actually doing business with you, to what happens afterwards, and how does that journey continue, and what do they say about you at the end of it. So it's a full end-to-end process rather than just the customer service element of it. So I just want to share with you, this is probably a very strange slide to pop up on your screens, but I just want to share with you a story. So this is about an MRI scanner. So I don't know if anyone's ever had an MRI scan before. I had one years ago, and beforehand everyone was telling me like how claustrophobic it was going to be, how scary it was going to be. Now this story is about a 7-year-old girl who had to go for an MRI scan. And she was absolutely bawling her eyes out, looking at this machine, knowing that she's been told that she has to stay still, that she can't move. And there was a guy called Doug Dietz who created this machine, and he created an amazing top of the range MRI scanner that did exactly what they needed it to do. And he saw this little girl crying and sort of asked what was going on. And the girl eventually had to be sedated. And 81% of young patients were being sedated using this machine because they were so petrified. But the machine worked. It did what it needed to do. It was functional, but it was an awful experience. So Doug Dietz, he sat down with children, with parents, with the employees operating, the doctors operating the MRI scanner, and sort of looked at what they could do differently. How could we make this better? What is it that's scaring them? How can we make this a better experience for them? And they came up with a number of things, and this was one of them. So they created a submarine, and they trained all the team as well. So all the nurses would say to the child, you know, if you lie here long enough, if you stay really still, you might see a fish jump over your head. They made campsite ones, space ones, ones where you had to walk the plank to get there. And Doug actually went back a couple of years later and just see how it was going, whether it was working. And he saw one child came out who said to her parents, can we come back again tomorrow? So it completely transformed the experience. And the massive thing, the really impactful thing, is that the sedation rates went down from 81% to less than 1%, which meant they could do more MRI scans in a day. So it was better for them. They were more productive. The experience was a million times better. So it just shows that experience, just thinking about little things and how you can change things within your own business, can have a huge effect on the bottom line of the business. So we're going to talk a little bit about strategy. And it's thinking who you are as a business, as a brand. Do you know where you sit within your competitors, in your industry? And there's nothing wrong with being an Aldi. There's nothing wrong with being the brand where people know you know the experience you're going to have in Aldi. You know you're going to walk in, you're going to get through the tills really quickly. If I think there's this thing, if there's more than, I don't know, 2 or 3 people in front of you, they have to open a new till. It's really fast service. It may be lower cost than some of the others. It's working out where you fit in, but more importantly, who your customers think you are, and really understanding that. So take some time to really dig into who your brand is, who you think you are, who your customers think you are, and then making sure that's aligned, because there's nothing worse than businesses who post on their website that they deliver an amazing customer experience, or they promise that they'll always get back to you within X amount of time, and then you deal with them and it doesn't happen. And that's actually worse than not saying it in the first place, because you need to deliver on what you're telling your customers, and that will create the perception before they've even started dealing with you of what you're going to be like to work with. And then also think about what in your industry is expected. What are you doing that is just, that would happen within your sector? So with the MRI scanner, for example, that MRI scanner worked as an MRI scanner, but how do you make it different? How do you go beyond that? So if you're a I don't know, like a VA, for example, if you're a virtual assistant and you're specializing in social media, if you're creating content, so as a client, my expectation would be that I would have X amount of social media posts go out on different platforms. That would be the expected thing. That wouldn't be the, wow, that's amazing, they did it. You've got to think about what it is extra that you can do to do that. And by setting out a strategy and writing it down, it will give you real insight into what you can do differently and how you can exceed the customer expectation. And then this slide is very simple, but very important. So think about your business. Are the interactions that customers have with you, are they accidental or are they intentional? So when a customer approaches your firm, does it depend on who they speak to as to whether they're going to have an amazing experience? Does it depend what kind of process will be followed, depending on who answers the phone or who picks up the email? Or do you have actual intentional actions and ways of working within the organization? And again, a strategy will really help you to say, this is what our expectations are. This is who we are as a business. This is what our expectations are. And this is how we get here. Now, this 3 dimensions of CX is something I use constantly with every single firm that I work with. What the customers are looking for. So what's the company saying? Is it functional? Did you do what it said it was going to do? Was it easy to do business with you? Was it easy to get what I wanted? And how did it make me feel? And again, the feel is the really important bit, because the feel will just show you how customers are going to respond to you, whether they will come back to you. And there's that famous Maya Angelou quote as well, which is, people, they won't remember what you did, they won't remember what you said, but they will remember how you made them feel, and that's absolutely correct. Just, this is a little strategy form that you can use, and if anyone wants a copy of this, just let me know afterwards and I can send it out. I'm not going to go into any detail on it now, but it's there as a format if you want to use it. So benefits of impressive CX. So experience high customer retention, increase the chance of realizing the lifetime value. Customers are less price sensitive. So if you are going to increase in line with inflation, then it's much easier to do so if customers already like you, know that you're going to give them a good experience and want to stay with you. More willing to entertain offers for products and services that they may not already use. So it's quite easy to cross-sell. And they'll become your marketing team. So they'll love you so much, they'll spread that word of mouth. They'll talk to you about you to their friends, their colleagues, which will then bring new customers to you, lifting revenue even higher. And fewer complaints obviously mean that you've got more time to deal with your actual customers and impressing them rather than firefighting all the time. I'm not going to go into much detail on this slide, but it's just to sort of show you that this isn't fairy dust. This isn't just sprinkle a little bit of magic. This is actually strategic and commercial to make the decisions in your business to have a strategy in place, because you are going to be more profitable. You will bring in more revenue than your competitors, and people will like you, spend more time with you. They'll want to spend more money with you and stay with you throughout their journey rather than losing customers and clients on the way. So it's really important to view your business through your customers' eyes, because after all, it's not about them fitting in with your processes and policies. It's about how you fit in with their lives. So there's a number of ways of doing this. So you could, if you've got like a shop front or if you've got an office, just take a step back, go and stand outside it, watch what's happening, see through the eyes of the customer. You know, is there somebody waiting inside ready to engage straight away, or are the teams all head down and involved in what they're doing but not really aware of what's happening from a customer perspective? If you're a service-based business and you don't have a shop front and maybe it's just you on your own, then get somebody to mystery shop it for you. If you've got a friend or someone that you trust that will be your sort of critical friend, get them to go through that process as a new customer and give you feedback on it, because it's really hard sometimes to see what's actually happening, because your business generally is your baby and you want to sort of protect it. But there are things there's always things that people can do to improve. And also sometimes it's nice to look through it and someone come back to you and go, do you know what, that was an amazing experience, that was brilliant. And you get that feedback as well. So it's not about always looking to find things that you can improve on. It's also celebrating what's really good. But the best way to do it is to ask your customers for feedback. So to ask your real customers, your real clients, what they think about you. And that's the really most effective way. And just understanding that you need to know where you are and where you want to be. Otherwise you won't know if you've got there or not. And you won't know if you're going in the right direction. You won't know if you have improved. You need to be able to measure things to understand whether you've made those improvements or not. So
I've got a quick question there, Rhiann, just popped up. It's to do with what you were speaking about and measuring. So one of the audience have asked, how would you get clients if you know other companies are doing the same job? This is someone who has a security company. Okay. So I guess it's about measuring against competitors as well as measuring about customers and suppliers and things you've been talking about. So how do you best do that? So there are different metrics that I'll talk about in a second, actually, but there are ones where you can actually benchmark yourselves against other people in similar organizations. But the best way really is to think about I talked earlier about customer journey mapping, and going through the process as a customer, sort of sitting there, getting out like pieces of whiteboard everywhere, get loads of post-it note, gets everyone in the business involved, and look at what your journey looks like. So don't worry too much about what your competitors are doing, because you need to think, again, going back to the
the slide I showed you earlier, which is what's expected of you. So go through, map out everything you do within your organization from a customer perspective, and look at the stuff that actually are these the things that we have to do. These are our bare minimum expectations. Are we doing anything different? And if not, what could we do? Kind of brainstorm it a little bit. Is there something you can do differently? What can you do to stand out? What is it that's important to your customers that you can maybe sort of reach upon? It could be as simple as thanking a customer when they've done some business with you. You know, there's I'm trying to think of an example from a security point of view, but maybe doing things like, I know some businesses do those sort of hacking lessons where they'll sort of hack into a business every now and again and just get test and see what's happening as a free service, as an extra. But it's just thinking about what is the expected things and what's the unexpected, and how you can move towards doing the things that little bit extra. And it's not always about spending more money on doing things. It's about just delighting the customers in some way. But you need to just sit back and really take a sort of bird's eye view of your business and take the time to view it as a customer and what they're going through, and that will just give you the best information. Hopefully that answers it.
That's great. Thanks, Rhiannon. Do keep the questions coming in from the audience. I've got a few more lined up, but we'll let you carry on. I'll try not to interrupt.
No, it's absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. I know I don't pause for breath very often, so it's hard to jump in when I'm talking. If anyone is watching this later on the video, it's probably best to watch it at normal speed rather than double speed, or you might not understand what I'm saying. So feedback's really important, because that's going to give you the information that will help you make improvements within the business. And it's from your customers. It's real feedback from people who are using you, to really understand what it is that they like and what it is that maybe isn't as good, and where there are things that you can improve. And you get feedback from your employees as well. So that's really important. If you've got a team of people, then understand what are they advocates of your brand? Are they likely to use you? So there are lots of different metrics. So these are some of the things I was talking about, where you can benchmark yourself against other firms, because it will give you a clear measurement that you can use. So these are probably the four main ones that we use. Net Promoter Score, I'll go into a little bit more detail in a second, because it's probably the least well-known one away from sort of retail and hospitality. Customer effort score is literally how easy was it to do business with us. So asking a customer, how did you find working with us? Was it easy? Did we do what you wanted us to do? And whenever you're asking for customer feedback, it's really important to just keep it short and sweet. You want to just ask, in order to get good response rates, you want it to be quite a succinct, I can't even say it, succinct way of working, so that you do you encourage people to do it, because they know it's not going to take much of their time. They know it's going to be easy. CSAT, customer satisfaction score, tends to be, you'll get a question: how satisfied were you with this part of the journey, or the overall experience? And you normally get the sort of drop down box of highly satisfied, satisfied, neutral, dissatisfied, highly dissatisfied, and the score is worked out by taking the satisfied and highly satisfied scores and seeing what percentage of that comes out as. And then mood face is a really simple, quick, easy way of getting feedback, where you might get a happy smiley green face, a sad red angry face, and then a yellow sort of meh face in the middle. Technical term, meh. So Net Promoter Score. So this is the question where it comes up and it will say, on a scale of 0 to 10, how likely is it you would recommend our organisation to a friend or a colleague or a peer? And the way this scores is that anyone who scores you a 9 or a 10, they're your promoters. They're the people who really love you. They're the ones who are more likely to shout about you and to tell other people and refer you. Your passives are the ones who think, yeah, you're okay. You might have done a good job. Nothing amazed me. Nothing blew me away. And then your 6 and below are your detractors. So they're the ones where you need to do some work in order to retain them as clients, to get them to use you again, and find out what it is that's going on. And then the score is worked out by taking the percentage of people who scored you a 9 or a 10, and you were your promoters, and then detracting your detractors. And the passives are left out of the equation. And that will give you a score of anywhere between -100 and +100. So this is where you can really benchmark yourself against other businesses in the same sector as you. So the system that we use to gather the NPS score, we've got that built in, so you can literally, if you're a law firm, we can say, right, the average score for a law firm is 20. I'm making up these numbers, by the way, is 20, and you're scoring 24. So we know that you're doing better than the majority of law firms, and you can benchmark yourself against other businesses. And the key thing with this is it's not about getting to 100, and it's not about fudging the numbers. I worked with a company quite recently where they were really proud of having a 90 net promoter score, but when we looked into it, actually they were just asking it was a car dealership, and they were asking the people who bought cars, they were asking the day after whether they would recommend them. Now, there's a high probability that most of those people are going to say, yeah, actually, I bought a car off them. It was great. If there was an issue and they weren't likely to recommend them, they probably wouldn't have bought the car in the first place. So it's making sure you're asking at various touch points throughout the journey. So in that scenario, it's, the people who are coming to view it, are you asking them at the point where they walk away, or when people drop off the system, or if people go into your website, asking at different points, but just asking sort of one question, not a full survey with loads and loads of questions on, but just keeping it really short and sweet will give you loads of information. Because otherwise you can have an NPS score of 90 and you can shout about it all over your social media, but it's not actually going to change anything within your organization, because you're not going to understand what the reality is. And that leads me into the question that would follow. So whichever metric you use, whether you use NPS, whether you use CSAT, mood faces, once you've got the score from them, always ask why. So for the ones who like you, great, we're delighted you're happy, please tell us why you've scored that way. Or we're sorry to see we haven't quite met your expectation, what can we do to improve? Because that's where you'll get the real detail, the really valuable stuff that will give you the insight into making changes. Because you might know that all your customers are happy, but do you know what it is that you're doing well? Or you might find out that you might have a score and you're like, oh, people really aren't happy with us, but you don't know why, and so you can't change anything. So I think sometimes you have those ones in airports where you just press the face on the way out, but it doesn't really tell you anything, because you don't know why people aren't happy, or why people just think you're okay, and what you can do to get better. So this is a really important question in anything that you send out. You want the detail of why it is that they feel that way. And then that will give you a really good opportunity to move on to reviews, because I think online reviews are becoming more and more important in every business, in every sector. And knowing what your clients think about you before asking for a review puts you in a much better place to get the 4 and 5 star reviews. So if you ask for the feedback first and then lead it to a review, and obviously make it easy for them to do so. So again, talking about our system, it asks the question, it asks them why, and the people who score 9s and 10s, it automatically directs them to an online platform. So that could be Google Reviews or Trustpilot or TripAdvisor or whatever it is that the businesses want to use for their platform. But just being able to engage with the business afterwards and know that they're going to use that feedback, that they're going to respond to it, is just going to create more loyalty. And the more reviews you've got, people trust reviews more than ever. And there's more in place to stop the fake reviews going on now. So I think it's really important to make sure that, and again, going back to sort of sitting back and looking at your business, Google yourself, see where you come up compared to your competitors. So if you're I don't know, a business coach in Eastbourne, Google business coaches in Eastbourne and see if you come up, where you come up, how you rank against your competitors, and that will give you a really good understanding of how you're viewed from an external perspective.
Brianne, I've got a quick question about that.
Well,
So, with the reviews online, we know they're really important. How do you recommend seeing a negative review through a customer's eyes? Because obviously, sometimes things do go wrong in customer experience, and you want to gather the feedback and do the things you've said. You've talked quite a lot about looking at your business through customers' eyes. That can be quite difficult for business owners sometimes when it's critical of their company. So do you have some top tips for that? How to deal with negative reviews by looking at it in a different perspective?
I think that yeah, it's kind of embracing it, because all feedback is a chance for you to talk about your business. So if somebody has left a negative review, you need to respond to it. You need to respond to it in the right way. So there's no point sort of telling them they're wrong or shouting them down, but just sort of thanking them for their feedback. You know, thank you. I'm sorry you feel that way. However, and then put your case across. But you need to respond to all reviews. So I think there's a lot of businesses that gather reviews online, and you see it a lot on Google, but there's no response from the business, or there's only response to the good ones and the negative ones are ignored, or vice versa, where they only respond to the negative ones and the good ones are ignored. But having a process in place where you respond to all of them, or as many as humanly possible, then that will show customers, one, that you actually care, that you are reading the reviews, that you're taking that information on board. And then when the negative ones do come up, then they'll be able to see that, you know, you have responded to it in a fair and as positive way as you can. And it will show, again, that you actually deal with things, because not everybody is perfect. Mistakes will happen. You will still get people who leave reviews for the sake of leaving reviews. But actually, if you've got a feedback process in place where you're asking for feedback away from the online reviews and getting that feedback internally, that will really help let people get things off their chest to you as an organization, and you can respond to that privately. And then you're kind of just steering the ones that you want to go online onto the online platforms, because the customers will feel heard, because they've told you what they think and you've actually responded to it, you've spoken to them, you've resolved it in whatever way that is. But you'll see more positive reviews going up then, and less of the negative ones.
Brilliant. Thanks for answering that. There is another question's come in, but it's a little bit off topic, so you might want to answer or not. It's more on a digital marketing question. So
Okay.
it's about, when you're a new business, how quick should you get a website? So obviously that helps to deal with customer experience and set your stall out, doesn't it, to have a website? But do you think there's a big importance in the customer experience journey of having a website early on as a startup?
I think it depends. It depends on the business. So it depends on the sector that you're in. However, more people are searching for things online, and you have to think about where your customers are going to find you. So I'm not a marketing expert, and yeah, you probably need to speak to a marketeer about this. However, I think from a customer perspective, if you Google something and they have a presence, whether that's a Facebook page, and their business is purely on Facebook, which happens a lot, but there's reviews on there and you can see them engaging, and you can see them, you know, talking to their customers and responding to things. That's just as good as having a website sometimes, because that's where your audience is. It's great. Your website is quite often seen as your shop front, and you can utilize it. You can get really sort of just sort of one page landing pages and things like that now, can't you? So but it's definitely not my area of expertise in terms of setting up websites, but having a presence and being visible, I think, is really important, whether that's a website or a landing page, or even you know, your LinkedIn profile. Because when you Google yourself, and that's probably the best way to do it, is to Google yourself, Google your business, and see what comes up about you and how you're viewed. So
That's great. Thanks, Rhiannon. And we do have additional resources on the FSB website as well on this topic and on digital marketing. So there is lots of other information available. I'll let you carry on.
it's all right. I've only got 2 slides left now as well.
Lovely.
So this one is probably just the really, it seems really obvious, but customers feel the way they do about your business, whether you ask them or not. So asking for feedback gives you that opportunity to shout about it, to, you know, say when it's really good and put it on social media and tell other people that you've had this amazing review. But it also gives the opportunity to change it when it's poor. So the key thing there again is how they feel about you, because that is the ultimate emotional thing that people are going to decide whether they want to do business with you again or not, whether they're going to recommend you or not, and what they're going to say about you behind your back. Essentially, what are they going to say to you about you when you're not in the room? And it's really important that if you ask, you've got that information, whereas if you don't ask, they're still going to say it anyway. But at least if you ask, you've got the opportunity to do something about it. So just quickly, 6 key actions. So discover who you are. So what is your brand there for? What are you hoping to achieve? How do you help people, and how are you perceived, and how do your customers perceive you? And look at your website, look at your online platform. What are you telling people you are? And actually, when they work with you, is that what's actually happening? Get that customer strategy down on paper. As I said, I can send copies through of the form if people want to use that. But just, people tend to have marketing strategies, or they'll have a business strategy that maybe they'll do annually, but people forget about the customer strategy, whereas without customers, you've got no business. So it's really, really important to have that strategy written down, in place, aligned with your other business strategies, but just making sure you've got something in place. Set your key measurements out. So decide, you know, where you are now, find that out, where you want to be, and start measuring it. So it may be about improving a satisfaction score, but you can measure that over time. It might be about getting comments that will start to see that you've got some consistency coming through. Looking at the right metrics. So I talked a little bit more about NPS than the others today, but that may not be the right metric for your business. It's working out, 1, what you need to find out and how you're going to deal with it, and 2, just what's right for your customers as well. What's the feedback that they want to give you? Make it really simple and easy for them to give you feedback and online reviews. So surveys need to be short. I know that there's a few, especially in hospitality, it seems quite common now. You can go out for a meal and they ask you to give feedback, and then you start going through and it's saying, right, what did you have for your starter? Did you like it? What did you have for your main course? And you just want it to be really simple. They're probably not going to change the entire menu just because you've said you didn't like your Caesar salad starter or whatever. It needs to be something that you can get real instant feedback quickly, where people want to do it because it's nice and simple, that will then lead to an increase in reviews as well. And then ultimately you use the data to make changes, because there's no point gathering all this information, finding out all this stuff, and then doing nothing with it. So again, only ask the questions that you're going to, you know, actively work on and make a change on. And that's it. So in the vein of asking for feedback, it would be great if people want to scan the QR code. It will take you to a really short 2-question survey, just asking for a little bit of feedback on how you found the session, because it would be really useful for me to get that information as well. And there's also, if you do want the strategy form, you can leave your details and I will forward it over as well. So thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Rhiannon. And I've got a few questions and a few points have come through in the question and answer. So I'll start with the points that the audience have made. So Melanie has said, and really helpful, Melanie, actually, when she said, if you're Googling yourself, use an incognito window so the results aren't skewed by your regular searches, because that's a really good tip. This is what I love about the FSB community. You know, business owners get linked up with each other and help each other. So that's really good. Thank you. And Andrew has put that he uses his website as an addition for those who don't do social media. And it's a good reminder, isn't it, that not everybody, despite we're being in the digital world, that not everybody is on social media. So
Yeah,
thanks for that point as well. And Sharmini, hi Sharmini, one of my members up in York who runs a brilliant cookery school. She says she's really happy that they have good reviews, but her query is, how do we get more clients to leave a social media review? So it's back to using platforms. They send out information of the link to her social media, but she struggles to get everyone to leave a review there.
I suppose again, you just want to make it as easy as possible, and it will depend whether you need that review to be, whether you need that feedback to be personalized. You need to know where it's come from, because using QR codes is a really good way of doing things. If you've got a cooking school where people are coming to the school, maybe you could have the QR code set up in the moment so they could give you feedback as they're going through the process. And there are ways where you can link it then to review sites. So the way our system works is it will ask the question, what did you think of us? Why did you think that? It will copy the response and then allow them to seamlessly put it onto online reviews. And we see a really good date with that. And it would work with social media as well. So you could put it onto Facebook reviews, or I don't even know if Instagram have review systems or not. I think I'm not as great on the Instagram side of things, but certainly Facebook reviews you can lead it to, or TripAdvisor might be a good one for that as well. But I think Google reviews are probably the most popular at the moment, because even if you're searching, because most people use Google as a platform, I don't think many people use I mean, Ask Jeeves probably doesn't exist anymore, but those kind of platforms, Google seems to be the main one. But if you type in cooking schools in your local area, even if you typed in cooking school review or your particular company review, Google would still come up first. So I think really sort of getting a presence there, because it will also help you to get found quicker as well through Google, because Google likes Google reviews.
Brilliant. So it's all about the QR codes, actually, to get people in the moment, gathering that feedback in the moment or immediately after the experience is.
Yeah,
Really
I think in that,
yeah.
if you're focusing purely on the review side, I think that's it's about making it as easy as possible.
Fantastic. You mentioned about having the customer strategy, and thanks for the offer to everyone to send the form if they'd like to contact you. And what do you think the frequency would be for reviewing that customer strategy? You mentioned annually for business plans and things, but actually during the pandemic and even now with the cost of living crisis, lots of people are pivoting their businesses. So I guess it's when there's a change to your business, or what is the frequency that's best for that review?
I think often, I think you should do it often. I think you should do it with your business plans as well. I think it's kind of I think especially people who've come from a corporate background, you tend to do it once at the beginning of the year and then forget about it. But they should always be working documents. So that's your business plan, your marketing plan, your customer plan. They should always be working documents, and you should be able to change them. And if you've got measurements in place, so if you are looking at getting that voice of the customer information, so you're getting that feedback from your customers or from people who are looking through the eyes of the customer, that will give you information all the time to keep making changes. And what may start out as your strategy may change along the way, and it's really important to keep them aligned so that if you've got employees and things in your organization, that everybody's aware of any changes that happen as well. But yeah, it's a constant working document.
Great, thanks. The other question that comes up quite often with people who have employees is, as the business owner, you sort of feel the ownership, I suppose, of customer service and customer experience. How do you translate that to the rest of your team so that you have a consistent approach across the business? What's the best way to enable that?
I think a lot of it starts with actually at the recruitment part of it, actually looking for people who have those values, who are, customer-centric thinkers that actually get what it's like to be a customer. Because I think everybody is a customer of something or other, but some people really are advocates of it and want to provide the best possible experience as possible. So that's really important to sort of get, if you've got those key people in your organization already, then that really helps. And when you are recruiting, just to have that on your agenda, that's one of the criteria that they should hit. And then make it engaging for employees, make sure they're happy working there. And that's why getting employee feedback is just as important as getting customer feedback, because you can measure advocacy of the brand, because if they wouldn't use you as a brand, or they don't think it's a great company to work for, they're probably not going to be given the best experience, because they're not feeling it, they're not engaged with it themselves. So it is making sure that you understand how your employees feel and what their experience is like for them, in order to get the best customer experience as well.
Great. I suppose it's about having that shared vision as a team, isn't it? And discussing customer experience with your staff as well. There's a question coming from Paul, and he's asking, what software is there available to capture customer service standards? For example, daily via a tablet, or we talked a little bit about generating QR codes, and I'll let you have a breather, Rhian, because there's a question on that as well. And how do you get a QR code for your business? So there are a number of online free QR code generators. So I think, again, Google is our friend, and you can Google QR codes for what you need. So that's that question. But the other question is a bit more towards recommending software, or are there lots of different types of software that you can capture that standard, I suppose, instantly again?
Yeah, there are different software. So we have our own, which is Instant Insight. And that's a really easy, user-friendly software that we've developed because we're CX experts, and we've created it in-house. We've made it specifically to meet the needs of our clients. But there are different options out there that will do bits here and there. So there's obviously survey companies and things where you can get a couple of free surveys, or Google Forms and things like that, where you can send out stuff. How that then, you obviously have to work to analyze the data and make it easy for customers to fill in. QR codes is a really good way of capturing feedback. There's lots of different ways to do it. There's platforms out there. Obviously ours is the best, but there are platforms out there, but there's different ones for different needs. So I've got some clients who use it to send out a survey annually, and others that use it daily with different customers and clients because of the way their business works. So there's different ways of doing it.
Great. I suppose it depends on finding the easiest and most cost-effective solution as well for your business, so that it's proportionate.
Absolutely.
There's another question come in from Joshua about identifying customers. So you might have a client, but then the client has customers as well. So what level of detail do you go into when you're asking for reviews or feedback, that important feedback loop? Would you just go to the the headline client, or would you go to their customers as well?
I think it depends on the service that you are doing. I think generally it would be your direct customers, but you would probably be encouraging that business then to ask their customers for feedback, and there may be sometimes where things need to be passed on. But I think generally it's your customers, and then your customers should be asked by the person who's directly responsible to them, because what you don't want is to bombard people with things either. So if you're sending out, asking for feedback from your customers, and your customer is asking them for feedback as well, it could get to the point where they're getting questions from all over the place, and and mixed messages, and it's ultimately who they're dealing with, because they may not even realize that they're dealing with that third party. So yeah, I think generally there'll be some exceptions, but generally your direct customers.
So keep it simple and
Yeah.
easy for people to give feedback and not overcomplicate it. I know, an example recently, I've done an online shop with Asda and the rating came through product by product. And I thought that I don't have a lot of things to say about each individual
Yeah,
product. I bought in
exactly.
quite a large basket. So keeping it simple and keeping it as short as possible so that you're really getting genuine good feedback, but not annoying your customers.
Absolutely. And you'll get a higher response rate as well, because if it's quick and easy, and if they know that you do something about it afterwards. So I think that's key as well, is responding to it afterwards and saying, this is what, even if it's I don't know, depending on your business, you might just want to send a newsletter out every now and again with the sort of you said we did kind of scenario around it. But that's really important as well, because if people see that you actually do something with the feedback that they give you, they'll give you more.
Brilliant. And that's a great tip to end on. There's no more questions coming from the panel. I'll pop my video back on and say hello again to people. Thanks so much to everyone who's taken part today. I hope you found it useful. Thanks very much to Rianne for her insight, no pun intended. I think I would say this working at the FSB, but I think the whole small business community give superior customer service anyway to their customers because they're very close to them. But you've given us lots of really actionable ideas that people can do in their businesses to improve on that and to keep gathering those all important reviews. And I should say, shouldn't I, finally, if you've enjoyed the event today, please do leave us a Trustpilot review, because FSB are on Trustpilot and we love to hear from all our customers and the whole small business community. Lots of comments coming in now saying thank you so much for the presentation, great ideas, and that this has been really useful. So there's some immediate feedback as well, Rianne. So we'll keep in touch. If you think of questions afterwards, please feel free to contact us and come to us with those questions. And as I mentioned before, we have lots of resources on the FSB website, particularly a little bit maybe on those digital marketing questions in the member login area. There's some great resources in the Skills Hub as well, for people to keep building on their skills and helping their businesses. So that's it, I think, for today. And do join us at our future webinars. Oh, thanks, Paul. Paul says FSB's been very useful to him as a new startup. That's great to hear. Please pop it on Trustpilot and spread the word as well. Thanks for joining us, and do keep an eye on FSB events for upcoming webinars and on those on-demand webinars that have been in the past as well, because they hope you find them time well spent for your business. And we'll see you again soon.